Hello everybody, this is Question Mark here on January 30th with the first products from Kaldheim. The most metal set in Magic since New Phyrexia, I guess? Since New Phyrexia. Yeah. I am here with Happy Batty, who... Hi. Who also has a pre-release kit of her own. I'll be opening mine in this video, and then we'll, I believe, be uploading a separate video with hers as well, so we can see how these go. And let's see, this is the pre-release weekend, so the full set hasn't dropped, I guess. I have a set booster box that should be coming next week, and that is the one that's really exciting me for Kaldheim. But I've got product today. I want to open it. I want to see what I get. And there's a lot of stuff that I'm looking forward to in this set. I tried to make a list of everything that I wanted from this set, and it just got to be most of it. Most of everything. So I'm going to start with the pre-release kit itself. They also gave us a couple of boosters, because I guess as long as the pandemic's been going on, they, rather than giving out prizes, they give what they estimate people would have earned from prizes. So this is kind of like the consolation prizes. Although I think it's interesting that the pre-release packs say that they are made in the USA with the die manufactured in China, and the packs that we have here say made in Japan. And they're interesting. They're a little different. They're a little like looser kind of. The cards can kind of slide up and down a little bit. There's a little bit of air in here. There's a little bit of extra width from side to side. And there's a little notch in the top for tearing. And I think that's nice. The notch, at least, I wish all packs were like, make them easier to open. But I'm going to save those for later, see if there's any difference here. Let's start with what's in the pre-release kit itself. Because maybe the most exciting thing is the promo. And the promo I got... Okay, well, difficult pronunciation right on the very first card. Furia's Retribution?
Yeah, that's not quite Freya, that's Furious.
Yeah, so this is like, you know, Magic copyright Freya, I guess. She's like the leader of the Angels, I think. And, oh, and it does have the copyright date stamp at the bottom, or the gold date stamp. So that's nice. And this is a cool card. Actually, 4 mana for a 4/4 creature token with flying and vigilance. Like, that is a worthwhile card. That's not bad. Pretty good, even. And then there's other text on it. And that's wild. The other text... Until end of turn, angels you control gain tap, destroy target creature with power less than this creature's power. Great for Angel Tribal, or in Limited, if this is the one you got, this is still good. And then angels you control gain double strike until end of turn. That's incredibly strong.
Not angels double strike?
Yeah! Yeah, so, so yeah.
So you're building an angel deck now?
Well, I have a close friend who is. We have a close friend who is.
Okay,
so
then.
There's a lot of gifts like this for her. She's going to want this too. She especially likes the gold foil stamps on these, so she's going to want this. And you know what? I don't need it, so I'll be happy to trade it to her. So also got a die, just a normal black die. That's fine. Okay. Then the rest of these packs. Let's see. So the rest of these packs, by the way, I bet they're not made in Japan. Where are they made? They are, oh, and they're like sealed a little bit on the end, so they tear just a little bit there. Ah, these ones are made in the USA. A lot of packs that we get these days are also made in Belgium. Though, I guess not in the pre-release kits. The pre-release kits are the one place where I usually see made in the USA. I don't know why that is. Maybe something to do with how the promos are made. Oh, wait a second. Oh, no, okay, this is just, I mean, like, what is this? Building a pre-release deck. Okay, it says Kaldheim, and there's, like, comic book style art?
That could totally be an album cover.
It could!
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of, you ever heard of the comic Beelzebubs?
I don't think I have.
Okay, I'm gonna have to show you, but Beelzebubs is like a comic book about like this metal family, and they actually came out with an album called what was it called? Pantheon of the Nightshade Gods.
Wow.
And a couple of music videos, and that style looks very similar to the artwork, and yeah, it's pretty awesome.
The art says it's done by J.P. Ahonen and Mark Riddick. And
Gonna have to look up those names later.
Maybe. And the text at the bottom, Kaldheim consists of 10 realms, linked together in on a cosmic world tree. When two realms collide, a great battle begins. And then it shows this giant Hydra, which I don't think is actually a card.
But there's definitely Hydras in Magic.
There are definitely Hydras in Magic. I don't recall there being a Hydra in this set.
Yeah. World tree, huh? Definitely sounds like that tree I can never pronounce.
Oh, Yggdrasil.
Yggdrasil.
Yes. Doesn't help that it's a name that starts with the letter Y.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to have trouble with, like, you know, being a native English speaker and being an American. I look at this and my gut goes, Ferja? But I know that a lot of J's in Nordic languages are pronounced with a Y sound, like fjord and yokelhops and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also the original singer of Nightwish is Tarja, and it has a J in it.
Yeah. So is this Furia? Is it pronounced with a E sound for the first vowel? Or Furia, like a fir tree?
It's something I gotta look up, because I think my my Scandinavian ancestors are probably looking at me and shaking their heads.
Oh, perhaps. Also, I've heard some people say that the cardstock feels a little chalky this time around. And so far, just feeling the back, like the art card, it's a little chalky, as opposed to some cards like, I remember Battle Bond felt rather waxy. Also, I think this might be zoomed out a little too far. I'm going to pop it in a little bit.
I'll be right back. I'm going to put my phone back on its charger over here.
Okay.
Phone's running a little low because I kept watching Twitch streams without having it plugged in.
Yeah. Okay. So, Immersturm Raider, 2-mana, 2/1. And by the way, a lot of these cards are still going to be fresh to me, so I am going to be reading a lot of them at first. Although, you can see this edge right here, this white, crusty edge. I don't know what's going on with that. Came out of the pack that way. Yeah, 2-mana, 2/1, Demon Berserker. I like that they're doing more Berserkers. I like that they're doing more Demons. When it enters the battlefield, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. That seems solid. That's a solid common. Valor of the Worthy. 1-mana enchantment. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. When an enchanted creature leaves the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. It's alright. Seems alright. Litiara Kinseekers. I'm very interested in all these shapeshifter changelings, because these can go in a lot of tribal decks. I love tribal decks. I've got like 4. I know a lot of other people who have certain tribes that they like. So perhaps any green or white shapeshifter might be an honorary cat. So this is not one of them.
Yeah, that's blue.
Yes, it is. 4 mana for a 2/4 when Litiara... See, that one, I'm pretty sure... Yeah, Litiara. For some reason, that is more natural for me to say than Firja. Firja.
Yeah.
When Litiara Kinseekers enters the battlefield, if you control 3 or more creatures that share a creature type, put a +1/+1 counter on Litiara Kinseekers, then scry 1. Seems fine, but I'm not excited by it. Demonic Gifts, 2 mana, instant until end of turn. When target creature gets... No. Until end of turn, target creature gets +2/+0 and gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So, that is very similar to a couple of cards that I play in my Xancha deck. However, Xancha does not need +2/+0 and protection from death on the same turn. I'm either using the protection from death thing in response to someone trying to kill it, so it's a surprise, or I'm using the +2/+0 to try to get, like, more commander damage racked up on somebody. I don't usually want to do these two things in the same turn. So I'm not going to play this. There's another card that's very similar to it that came out like 2 years ago, almost identical, that I do not play. I play Undying Evil instead, which is just 1 mana and gives Undying, so the creature dies and comes back with a counter on it. Anyway, Icehide Troll, 3 mana, 2/3, snow creature troll warrior. For 2 snow mana, it gets +2/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it. Okay. We got some awkward stuff going on here. Getting +2/+0 means that ideally it's in combat, but then you're tapping it, so it has to already be in combat. But you're making it indestructible to, like, protect it. Okay. For limited, this seems good. Troll isn't much of a tribe. Snow, I don't know. Seems okay. Augury Raven, 4 mana, 3/3 flying.
I totally read that as Angry Raven.
Angry Raven. Oh, this is...
I mean, it looks angry.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Magic cards do look angry, and this is no exception. Okay, but it has Foretell of 2, so the total mana cost is the same, but you can divide it up among 2 turns. Once again, I think this card is great for limited, but not exciting for Commander. I should state, for the people who aren't already close friends, who don't already know my niche, I play exclusively Commander and have so for quite a while now, so I'm really only interested in these cards as Commander cards and as kind of like curiosities for just learning what they are. Because even though it's mostly rares and mythics that get a lot of play in Commander because they're generally more powerful and you don't play multiples and stuff, every once in a while a common or an uncommon sneaks up on you and I gotta know what they all are. Code Spell Cleric, okay, 1 mana, 1/1, human cleric with vigilance. The cleric tribe has been getting a lot of help this last year or so, or less, really. When Code Spell Cleric enters the battlefield, if it was the second spell you cast this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. If it was the second spell you cast this turn. Okay. Alright. A little awkward to try to get handle of, but that's something that we're going to see multiple times, is cards that care about the second spell you cast this turn. So keep an eye out for that. We're going to see more of that. Funeral Longboat. So our first boat, and I kind of wanted to build a boat deck. There is a legendary boat in this set that...
I mean, boats are very significant to Vikings, and yeah.
And in this set, there is a legendary creature god on the front, who's blue, and on the backside is a boat. So you could absolutely build a commander deck with a boat as a commander. I don't know how good it will be. Seems not terrible.
But it'll be fun, maybe.
It could be fun.
You could call it I'm on a boat.
Yeah, just leave it at that. Just leave it. It would have to be a mono blue deck, which is my maybe least favorite kind of deck. But I don't currently have one, so it would be different. That said... 2 mana, 3/3 vigilance with crew 1 is not exciting, and I'm not sure would even make the cut in a vehicle deck for Commander. Might make one for Standard or Draft or something, I don't know. Sculptor of Winter. This one's pretty cool, actually. I mean, talk about a grizzly bear with upside. 2 mana for a 2/2 snow creature elf rogue? Elf rogue? Ever since the party mechanic in Zendikar Rising, Wizards has really wanted to push more of the party types. Wizard, Rogue, Warrior, and the other one. And we've got a few weird elves that aren't druids. They're rogues or wizards.
I mean, elves can totally be rogues.
I mean, they can, except for this one, cares about the land, untaps it in order to effectively produce more mana. That's always been a druid thing. Except somebody decided to leave druids out of the party mechanic. So, it was...
It is odd.
Yeah. It was wizard, warrior, rogue, and... cleric. That's what it was.
Yeah, because parties always need a healer. Yeah.
Yes. Although, I was really hoping that when the D&D set comes out, that they will expand that further. That they'll, errata parties to say, Druids can also be in a party.
Yeah, and also artificers. I mean, artificer is a class in D&D.
Yeah, like I feel like while they should
maybe
expand
they'll
it,
introduce bards.
yes, I'm actually really rooting for Bard as a creature type in Forgotten Realms when that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
There are a handful of creatures in Magic that either would make sense as a Bard, or literally say, like, Yisan the Wandering Bard, or Elvish Lyrist is playing a lyre and is like a druid or something.
Mm-hmm.
Make them Bards.
Mm-hmm.
And while I think that they could and maybe should expand the party mechanic, because the party mechanic is, I think, neat in theory, but not there yet, and it should include like Bard, and Druid and a couple others. I think it's entirely possible to stretch that too far. And you couldn't have it open-ended to the point of like any creature that has a second creature type, or like there's no way I think to specify that it has a class in addition to its race.
Mm-hmm. Or creature type, as the languages in Magic.
Yeah, like I guess this troll is a warrior, so it has a class. The bird doesn't.
Yeah, but like some of them say, some cards say like soldier. That's not really a class.
Well, it is considered that usually in game design here, but here's another weird one. The Yara Kinseekers is all of those creature types, and yet has like one entry on its type line. So would this count if they tried to change the rules? I don't know. So I think they're probably better off with just expanding the list a little longer.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think this is a good card. I've also heard of some people asking, why didn't they reprint Rune Claw bears in this set? They're bears with runes on their claws, but this is just strictly better than Rune Claw bear. So, as much as it would be like flavorful, the card actually sucks. And I thought I saw this guy peeking out. We got Finn the Human, which ever since seeing this, I'm like, Finn the Human, where's Jake the dog? I need to make a Finn and Jake deck. If I did it, would y'all allow me to pretend that there's partner on here to do Finn, a human, and then I go find a legendary dog like Isamaru or something, and play them as partners? It wouldn't work very well because this is like Death Touch and Poison themed, and there's no dog that would do that. Certainly not Isamaru, but I don't know. I still kind of like it. And a Death Touch tribal that turns into poison with this as the commander, I don't know, might actually be kind of good. Mm-hmm. Watch out.
Be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Axeguard Armory. I'm not too excited about these cards for commander. Once again, I think they're probably pretty good for draft when you like flood and you have a mana sink. And actually, if you're building an aura and equipment deck in red-white, then this probably is good, but I'm not, so. Oh, and this is the one that has the little scratches on the edge. Okay. A little rough there on the card printing, the U.S. printers. We got our first dwarf, the Fearless Liberator. 2 mana, 2/1, has Boast for 3. You can create a dwarf creature token. The dwarf creature token does not enter tapped or attacking, doesn't have haste or anything like that. But it is another one of him, but for 1 more mana. You have to have already attacked, you have to pay, all that. But, I don't know, I've been talking about maybe building a dwarf vehicle deck with Dapala, the pilot exemplar. I do have one, but I started building it online recently, and it sucked. It looked real bad. Even after all the new dwarves in this set, even after a handful of new vehicles, it looks real bad. So I'm still shelving it for now.
Not too bad.
And my rare of this pack that's taken forever because I'm talking about every single fucking card. Herald Unites the Elves. And I don't know if it's supposed to be Harald or something like that. I'm going to lean towards Herald. Because I think that's a funny sounding name. 4 mana, Saga, green and black, mill 3 cards. You may put an Elf or Tyvar card from your graveyard onto the battlefield. Chapter 2, put a +1/+1 counter on each elf you control. Chapter 3, whenever an elf you control attacks this turn, target opponent a target creature an opponent controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. I have an elf tribal deck that is black and green with Abomination of Llanowar as the commander, and this card is sick. I'm absolutely putting it in there. I do want to mill myself. I do want elves in my graveyard. I do plan on putting Tyvar in there. And actually, Abomination of Llanowar doesn't care if your elf is in the graveyard or on the battlefield. He gets +1/+1 either way. But if it's on the battlefield, you can usually do more stuff, like picking up +1/+1 counters, or attacking and shrinking your opponents. So I'm totally cool milling 3 cards and then resurrecting an elf to the battlefield. Mm-hmm. If this was to my hand, I'd be like, eh. But it's to the battlefield. This card is sick, and I love it.
Damn, yeah.
Whoa,
hey,
kitties.
Okay, I'm going to separate the kitties.
Okay.
So they're not disturbing.
Okay.
Okay. Come on.
I'm going to leave this over here. I think that's just visible in the corner.
Come out. It's okay.
Okay. We also have a snow land in every pack, and some of these are going to be basic, and some of these are going to be like uncommon or rare, and this is the snow dual land cycle, and I think these cards are really good. I think that if you're playing a 2-color deck, then you probably play these, especially if you have fetch lands, if you have check lands, anything like that where it cares about the type. These cards are going to be good. Like, they enter the battlefield tapped, so they're slow. So be careful. You don't want to just use them willy-nilly and everything. If you've got a really aggressive deck, like maybe my elf deck, maybe you won't play it. I don't know. But anything else, if you can fetch it, then it's really good. And we got a foil dual strike. Okay. 2-mana instant. When you cast your next instant or sorcery spell with converted mana cost 4 or less this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for that copy. Foretell of 1. Okay. I don't have any plans for this card, but that's neat. And a human warrior who looks like a Viking. That's cool.
Sweet.
All right. So we've got some stuff. Let's see. Where is this barely visible? Right there. Okay, there's my foils. This token, I think I'll leave off. All right. I want to say that we're going to start going a little faster, but honestly, I like talking about magic cards. I'm not in a hurry.
People can fast forward if they want.
Yeah, okay, to be perfectly honest, I rewatched my own videos with me opening packs, and I rewatched them in like 150% speed. So I don't begrudge you for doing the same. I actually still enjoyed it, and is even hearing myself say the things I already did. I don't know. Undersea Invader. Is this our first giant? 6 mana, 5/6 flash. It enters the battlefield tapped. Okay, dang. It enters the battlefield tapped. So
It is a fast giant.
Well, fast. It's hurry up and wait, because fast to enter, and then it enters tapped, so it's slow. But you could do it at the end of an opponent's turn in order to like untap it and kind of give it haste. But you can't do it in the middle of combat and chump block something, or just block.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is too bad. But I am strongly considering building a Ruhan of the Fomori giant tribal deck. I just picked this up. And it happens to include red, white, and blue. So that's one of the things that like doubled the number of Kaldheim cards I'm excited about. But this is not one of them. So, out of the way. Craven Hulk, also a giant, unfortunately a coward. Literally. That is his job. But cool bit of trivia that this is at least the third magic card to reference cowards. I believe maybe the fourth. But the first one to have the coward creature type written on itself. The other ones say, like, target creature becomes a coward and cowards can't block warriors, stuff like that. But this one just is a coward and can't block alone. Not a good card.
Wow, what a giant coward.
I know! Oh, okay, now this is the coolest bird. Look at this bird.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows that cool people don't look at explosions.
And tough birds don't look at explosions either.
Yeah.
And how embarrassed is Suntail Hawk, a card which I used to play 4 copies of in one of my favorite 60-card casual decks. Suntail Hawk was a 1/1 for 1 with flying, and that's it. This has 1 more toughness and first strike. Now, granted, how relevant is first strike on a flyer? Maybe not terribly relevant. How relevant is it on a creature with 1 power? Somewhat relevant. I don't know. I think this card is cool. I don't know if it's as good as Healer Hawk, the one with lifelink, because I think the extra point of life does tend to matter.
And it builds up.
Absolutely builds up. I used it to trigger a lot of cards that cared about when you gain life. Is this as good as that? Maybe not, but it's quite good for a bird. Little bird. Horizon Seeker. Why does that feel like a name they've done before? It can't be, because it's not a reprint, because it's a Boast card. 3 mana, 3/2. Okay, that's pretty strong. Human Warrior. Boast, 2 mana. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Well, the fact that it puts it in your hand means that I'm probably never going to play this in any deck. That's a shame. If you put it onto the battlefield, it would be Rampant Growth, and Rampant Growth is too strong. Coma's Faithful, 3 mana, 3/1. Oh, this is my first actual elf in this set, I believe. 3 mana, 3/1 with lifelink. That's pretty cool. When it dies, each player mills 3 cards.
Wait, didn't we open up the elf rogue?
No, yeah. You're right. Not my first elf. Good call. Because the Sculptor of Winter.
Sometimes I remember things.
Hey, you brained good. All right. Well, I mean, so, yeah, actually, that raises the question then. Do I play this in my Abomination of Landwar deck? Maybe. Wait, untap target snowland? Ooh, well, I have to change all the lands into snowlands. But maybe I could. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. We'll see. But Coma's Faithful, on the other hand, doesn't require any particular synergies to be added. The only synergies are it is an elf, so it gets a benefit there. It gains me life, which is something that the deck sadly needs. It definitely will be attacked a lot and will struggle. And when it dies, each player mills 3 cards, but that's good for this elf deck. I want elves in my graveyard. So I very likely will... I mean, I'm going to at least try to put this in the elf deck. So maybe I put like a pile of cards I'm thinking I may play over here. Okay. And Herald is a rare. Okay, well, I guess Furia's Retribution is also a rare, so maybe put it under there. I don't know how I want to sort this out just yet. I'll not worry about it right now. Infernal Pet.
Look at that cutie.
Yeah.
He's so cute, though.
Mm-hmm.
I just know I'm going to die trying to pet something I shouldn't.
Just like this one.
Mm-hmm.
3 mana, 2/2 Imp. When you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Infernal Pet. It gains flying until end of turn. Getting a counter every time you cast 2 spells in a turn... Well, this is more like limited stuff. You know, draft and everything. And I think for limited, it's good. But I'm not going to play it. Mistwalker, a changeling with flying. A 3 mana, 1/4 changeling with flying. It gets +1/-1 until end of turn. Sadly, I don't know what I would play that in. I have a ninjas deck that would love to have a changeling with flying, but just this awkward mana cost and power and that ability isn't going to be useful. I don't think this quite gets there for me. Shimmer Drift Veil. So we have another snowland. Oh yeah, this is the one that's like any color. When it enters the battlefield, it enters tapped, and you choose a color, and then taps add 1 mana of any color. So this is obviously good in draft. I think if you build a snow deck that's a 5-color deck, this is good there too. I know someone who's working on that. Other than that, I don't know that it makes a cut in most things. Stalwart Valkyrie, 4 mana, 3/2, an angel without flying written. Oh, wait, no, it does have flying written on it, but it's written second? That's weird. You may pay 2 and exile a creature card from your graveyard rather than pay this spell's mana cost.
Oh, maybe that's why that part is first?
Yeah, like...
Because something like that is usually listed first, like, you know, if there's an alternate cost.
Right, they do usually list abilities in the order that they would become relevant. So they'll usually have things like before it hits the battlefield, and then when it's on the battlefield, and then after it hits the battlefield.
Yeah.
Kind of in that order.
So that makes sense, actually.
Yeah, I'm just not used to seeing flying down there, and it feels like there's maybe not enough space between the first ability and the second. Like, there's twice as much space at the top of the box as there is on, I don't know, just weird kind of formatting, but...
Yeah.
2 mana and exile a creature in your grave rather than paying for a 3/2 flyer. I mean, once again, seems good in limited. I'm not sure if it's good in anything else.
And this literally is, you shall not pass, but worded differently so that they don't get copyright.
Hey, true. Good call. Dusk Wielder. Now, I'm excited about any 1 mana elf, because my elf deck I'm trying to keep really low to the ground. Really, really low. So, what can this one do? It's a 1/2, so that's a slight upgrade. Boast 1, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. That's not exciting to me. Target opponent in Commander? No. I don't think this actually makes the cut. Frenzied Raider, 2 mana, 2/2 Demon Berserker. Whenever you activate a Boast ability, put a +1/+1 counter on Frenzied Raider. Cool if you're building a Boast deck. I am not. Vengeful Reaper, 4 mana, 2/3 Flying Death Touch Haste Foretell. Wow. Flying Death Touch Haste Foretell. So you can split up the mana cost across 2 turns. And honestly, okay, Foretell has reminded me of a combination of things, and I'm sure it does for a lot of people. Suspend is one of them. Morph is the other one. But Suspend, one of the cool things about Suspend is that when a creature comes off of suspension, it has haste. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these Foretell cards, it feels kind of like awkward to be like, all right, I spent half the mana for this many turns ago. Y'all saw it coming. Then I spend the other half of the mana now, and here it is on the battlefield. And I pass the turn, and it'll wait around even longer before it does anything. But not the Vengeful Reaper. The Vengeful Reaper is ready to fly in and deal 2 damage, or take out literally any blocker the turn that you cast it for possibly 2 mana with extra mana left over to spare. I think this card's cool, especially in an Angel deck, and I know someone who's working on an Angel deck. Bredegard Stronghold. Now, this one, actually, Happy Batty, you might have some use for. I don't know. Enters the battlefield tapped, so a little awkward. Only makes green mana, so you want to put in a deck that has a lot of green. But for a green and 2 white, you can tap and sacrifice it to put a +1/+1 counter on up to 2 target creatures you control. They gain Vigilance and Lifelink until end of turn. Activate this ability only at any time you could cast a sorcery. But cats, though, they are green and white, and putting a +1/+1 counter on 2 of them, giving them both Vigilance and Lifelink until end of turn, that seems kind of good.
Yeah.
So I think this might be worth considering.
Yeah.
Cyclone Summoner is on the list of giants I'm looking for, so that's awesome. 7 mana, 7/7 giant. That's a great body. Although, I mean, 7 is pushing it for, like, casting any spell in any format, even Commander at this point. But I've got some things that'll help me cast bigger giants, and giants are just big. But when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, return all permanents to their owner's hands, except for giants, wizards, and lands. So he's Cyclonic Rift, but built into a giant. Now, Cyclonic Rift is an instant for 7, and this is a sorcery. Cyclonic Rift also isn't a 7/7 with tribal synergies. This will bounce some of my own permanents, artifacts, enchantments, and stuff like that, but I'm going to be building giant tribal. And honestly, I don't think that they should print many cards that are like as good or close to as good as Cyclonic Rift. So I am perfectly okay with where this thing sits in the power scheme of things. I like this card a lot, and I'm going to play it. Glacial Floodplain. This is the same one that I got earlier. Okay, that's weird. And then a Flying Spirit token. She looks neat.
That's cool.
Ghosty lady. I don't know. Okay. Next pack. Oh yeah, some of these packs have Kaya, which I think it's really cool that they chose for one of the protagonists of this Nordic set to be a black woman. I think that is great, especially with... There were some people who I knew would be upset about that, and I'm happy that they're mad.
Yeah.
So, and then also to have Nico Eris in here, which depends on how you want to call things. The first non-binary planeswalker. No, I don't know. Does Karn or Ashiok count for that? The first non-binary human planeswalker.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's one thing for like a robot or whatever Ashiok is to not have a gender, but that's a human person.
Yeah.
That's a little bit different.
Yeah, I know. I tried to say online a while back that, like, you know, Ashiok may not be the best representation of non-binary people, considering they're like a sadistic nightmare being. But then there are some people who are like, actually, I do identify as a creepy nightmare being. Yeah. I'm like, all right,
yeah, well, like, my gender is a nightmare being.
All right, well, you know. But I assume there's more people who are going to look at Eris and go, it me, though, than are going to look at Ashiok and go, like, you don't have half a face, but I don't know. Either way, I'm happy for it. And I'm happy for them. Berg Strider, what in the heck am I looking at here? 4 and a blue, for a snow creature giant wizard. So I'm building that giant deck. I'm curious about giants, and I don't think I've read this one before. 5 mana, 4/4. Okay, better have a good ability. When it enters the battlefield, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls. Okay. If snow was spent to cast this spell, that permanent doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. This seems, once again, pretty good in draft. I'm not sure it makes the cut for Commander, though. 5 mana for a 4/4 is not super impactful. Tapping a creature artifact, not super impactful. Keeping it tapped for 1 turn, not super impactful. All of it's okay, but I may pass. Seize the Spoils, 3 mana, sorcery, discard a card, draw 2 cards, and create a treasure. Once again, seems good for limited, maybe constructed, standard, stuff like that, but I don't know about Commander. 3 mana, 2/3 Dwarf Warrior for 2 mana, tap target creature. Neat, but I don't know if we're going to play that in anything. Grim Draugr. 3 mana, 3/2. I know how to pronounce Draugr because I've played Skyrim. Snow Creature Zombie Berserker. Okay, I love it in theory, but give me some meat here. For a colorless and a snow, it gets +1/+0 and gains menace until end of turn. Well, you know, zombie snow deck, I don't know. I'm not playing anything this would be good in, but it's alright. Snakeskin Veil. I saw something about this online and I got a little excited about it. What is it? 1 green for an instant, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains hexproof until end of turn. Oh, right. I was looking at a Skullbriar deck. Oh, she getting into the Cheetos.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Continuing to get into food.
If I ever rebuild the Skullbriar deck, then... Oh, maximum file size reached. What? Okay. I think it just created a second separate file, so I think we're okay here.
Okay.
Yeah. Snakeskin Veil. Yeah. If I ever rebuild the Skullbriar deck, I think this is going in it. Anything that puts +1/+1 counters, anything that costs 1 mana, anything that's an instant, anything that gives hexproof to my commander, all these things are great in that deck. Even if it's a kind of small effect, it adds up considering those counters don't go anywhere. Alright. Codespell Cleric, we've been over it. Not into it. Funeral Longboat, we've been over it. Sculptor of Winter is cool. And, well, we got a showcase card. The first showcase card that I've gotten, and it's Herald, King of Skemfar. So while there is a slightly better version of this, given that there is a foil out there, if I don't draw a foil, I'm going to be happy to play this in my elf deck. 3 mana, black and green, legendary creature, Elf Warrior. It's a 3/2 with Menace. And when it enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal an Elf, Warrior, or Tyvar card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. I kind of wish it said that put them in the graveyard, but it's a 3 mana, 3/2 Elf with Menace, and it probably draws me a card that I can use. This is pretty cool and love the style. Very happy.
That does look pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't think I've read this one. Skemfar Elder Hall. So I could play it in my elf deck, but it's a little clunky being slow like that. Taps for a green, or for 2 colorless, 2 black and a green, and tap, and sacrifices. Up to 1 target creature you don't control gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Create 2 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens. Oh, geez. Okay, up until that point I was like, nah, I don't think I'm likely to play this. Enters tap, that's slow. When it produces one of my 2 colors, that's awkward. The mana cost to activate it is like 5, plus I'm tapping one of my lands anyway. And sacrificing it, and I don't really care if I shrink a creature, but an ability on a land that produces 2 creature tokens, 2 elves, in the deck that cares about the number of elves I have. I think it is going in, actually. I may play this.
Could be worth trying out, at least.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I'm putting... Oh, this isn't a rare. It's an uncommon, but... Return Upon the Tide. 5 mana sorcery. Return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. If it's an elf, create 2 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens. And the fact that this has
More
foretell...
elf tokens.
Heck yeah, I am going to play this. I don't need to get my elves out of the graveyard and onto the battlefield very often, but since it puts them onto the battlefield and not hand, it's just as good for the Abomination. But it makes 2 additional elf tokens. That's really good, and the foretell cost is very affordable. I like this card a lot. Blessing of Frost. Okay, this is the Snow Wide deck. Go wide with snow. But it expects you to have like a medium-sized army, and I don't have a deck that fits. Because you can put a bunch of +1/+1 counters on your creatures, equal to the amount of snow you paid, and then you draw a card for each creature with power 4 or greater. So that could be a few cards drawing in green, that could be a few pumps in green, but as a snow sorcery, I don't know, I'm not going to play it. And just a straight-up snow-covered swamp. Happy to see it. I play snow-covered swamps in one of my decks.
That skull looks pretty badass.
Yeah. Also, I think
that.
there's more than one snow-covered swamp in this set. But yeah, I love the new borders for snow. This is cool. I'm probably going to play this. And we got a foil, which is Usher of the Fallen. 1 mana, 2/1 Spirit Warrior.
That Spirit Warrior looks very similar to that Spirit token you got.
Oh, yeah. They're friends. Oh, that's why. Okay, the last card had a magic back on it because it's one of those, like, fill-in-the-blank kind of cards. Okay, well, oh, Blessing of Frost is a rare. It should go over here, I guess. Usher of the Fallen. Okay, so the boast ability on this 2 mana, 2/1, oh, Savannah Lions is embarrassed, is to create a 1/1 human creature token for 2 mana. Seems alright. I'm not sure what to play it in. I don't have anything it would be useful for, I think.
Yeah, it creates human warrior, not cat warrior.
Yeah, so I guess this might be good in a warrior deck that is, like, white and low to the ground.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Which does exist, definitely. I
suppose so. Berg Strider, we've seen. I'm not playing it. Seize the Boils, we've seen. I'm not playing it. Goldmont Champion, we've seen. I'm not playing it. Disdainful Stroke is cool for limited and for standard. It's cool that it's back. Don't really care much myself. It's an alright counterspell. Actually, you know what? It's a great budget counterspell. If you want to build a deck that can hang in Commander, but you don't have a lot of money, you're just picking up packs, throwing in stuff, Disdainful Stroke is going to serve you well for basically no money in Commander. Just saying.
A mammoth growth. It has a mammoth in it.
And it grew. 3 mana for an instant that gives target creature +4/+4 until end of turn. Kind of lame, but you can foretell it for 1 green. I think once again this is really good in limited. I'm not sure what's going to do outside of that. Priest of the Haunted Edge. The Haunted Edge? 2 mana, 0/4 snow creature zombie cleric. This is such an intriguing combination of like thematic elements. You can tap and sacrifice it. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of snow lands you control. Activate this at sorcery speed. Gosh, seems good in limited. Not sure where else. Vault Robber. Oh, I remember this card. Actually, I was happy about playing in a dwarf deck. 2 mana, 1/3 Dwarf Rogue. For 1 and tap, you exile a creature card from your graveyard to make a treasure. It's a little weird that you have to exile specifically a creature card. So yeah, it does have to rob the dead. I kind of wish you could exile any card from your graveyard. But, I don't know. Might be okay. Feed the Serpent. That's a big mouth. That's a big mouth.
Yeah, it needs to be fed.
Yeah, and yet this card looks so good for a common. 4 mana, instant, exile, target creature or planeswalker.
Just straight up.
Exile. None of this destroy, none of this creature under certain circumstances, none of this 5+ mana or sorcery stuff. This is maybe the best common removal spell for limited, for... I can't believe it. This is like 2 points of life away from a rare that people were excited to pay multiple dollars for like a couple years ago. Vraska's Bounty, I think, something like that. Which I still think I play in some decks. It's just this plus gain 2 life. And that's rare. Now this is a common. And you know what? Cool. Now, Giant Ox. I was searching for giant cards for my giant tribal deck, and the Giant Ox came up. But a Giant Ox is not a giant.
It's an ox. That's just big.
Yes. It's kind of weird that giant is both a race and like just an adjective that you apply to certain things that are bigger than normal. But it crews vehicles with its toughness. So if you were going to build a crew vehicle deck, this card's actually really good. So, cool. Angry Raven. All right, we've seen it. Spectral Steel. 2 mana, enchant creature gets +2/+2. For 2 more mana, exile Spectral Steel from your graveyard. Return another target or equipment card from your graveyard to your hand. So, if you do the bad thing of putting multiple auras on one creature and it dies, then this one can be exiled to bring back the other one. Okay. Elven Bow. Okay, I got excited when I saw this one, once again for my Elves deck, because it's 2 mana for, 1 green for an artifact equipment. And I was like, oh, this could be so good for Elves. I love the flavor of it. What do we got? When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 2 colorless. If you do, create a 1/1 green Elf Warrior creature token. That's the one reason why I think I might still play it.
Then attach the bow to it.
Then attach the bow to it. That's a good point. And equipped creature gets +1/+2 and has reach and equip 3. So I guess the problem here is +1/+2 and reach is not a thing that I need in any deck, really. So it's...
reach helps with defending against flying. That's kind of a weakness green has.
Yeah, in theory. I guess I like to cover my weaknesses when I actually lose to them. So I like to be a little, I guess, reactive in that way. And because sometimes when I've tried to be proactive and build around weaknesses that I perceive I may have, no one ever takes advantage of them and end up with these cards that kind of suck on their own.
I don't know. You know, I play green a lot, and I've definitely I've been taken advantage of by my inability to deal with flying sometimes.
It can happen.
So,
it has happened.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather play with a little bit of a weakness to flying and then watch myself get killed by it and then put in a card like this.
Okay. As a green player, I'm just warning you.
Yeah, also, like, 2 colorless and a green for a 2/3 elf with reach is not that exciting on its own. Re-equipping for 3 is not that exciting. I think I'll just play an actual elf over this, probably. Rune of Flight. Now, I like these runes. I think they're good as far as auras are concerned, and this might be one of the better ones. 2 mana, when this enters the battlefield, draw a card. You can enchant a permanent. If the enchanted permanent is a creature, it gains flying. If the enchanted permanent is an equipment, then the equipment gains, equipped creature has flying.
Oh, interesting.
So flying is powerful. Flying is evasion.
You can, inscribe the rune on an equipment.
Yeah. You can put it on a Swiftfoot boots or a Lightning Greaves or something. How sick is that to be throwing around flying a lot? Granted, it's in the color blue. They have a lot of flying already, but it also draws a card to replace itself. Blue has a lot of, card draw already.
Blue things.
It's doing blue things. Yeah.
It's a blue rune.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you would expect a blue rune to do.
Yep. So this seems pretty good. Ooh! Sigrid God Favored is my second showcase card. This time it's a rare.
That looks pretty.
It is pretty. Colorless and 2 white for a 2/2 flash. That's off to a great start. First strike, protection from God creatures.
Where is your god now?
Oh, exiled, I think. Because when Sigrid, God Favored, enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target attacking or blocking creature until Sigrid leaves the battlefield. So that last ability has some restrictions on it, but I think I may still play this in my mono white deck. Also, it's just, I want to show this off now.
And you could exile a creature, which means a lot of gods are indestructible, but they're not unexilable.
Nope, exile is the preferred way to get rid of such a god. Kitty. Can't leave her alone.
Okay, I'm gonna see if she knocked over anything important.
I know there was a glass.
It might be empty. I don't think there's anything in it, but I'm going to pick it up anyway.
Yep.
I don't know why. She's been a little monster today. I guess you're the reason why I named her Babadook, but come on. You don't always have to act like a monster, Babadook. you can chill.
Yep. Okay. Cinderheart Giant. 7 mana, 7/6 Giant Berserker with Trample. When it dies, it deals 7 damage to a creature an opponent controls at random. So 7 mana is asking a lot. 7/6 Trample is arguably close to being on curve. When it dies, deals 7 damage to a creature, at least it's an opponent controls. It's chosen at random, so like don't have a lot of control over that, but that's a lot of damage, and it never backfires. This card, for being a common, seems sick. And I love it for being on flavor with Ruhan, who is also a giant who does 7 damage randomly every turn. So I'm definitely going to play it in the giant tribal deck.
Okay, I'm going to hold Babadook for a moment. And that glass really did have nothing in it, nothing to worry about. I just put it in the sink.
Good. Okay, Doomscar Oracle, 3 mana, 3/2. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you gain 2 life. Foretell. That seems okay. Pilfering Hawk. 2 mana, snow creature bird. Okay, I love it. It's a 1/2. Flying. Snow, tap, draw a card, then discard a card. It's alright. Although, I guess... No, I was going to compare it to Merfolk Looter, but Merfolk Looter doesn't cost mana to activate. Anyway, seems alright. Tormentor's Helm. There was something that got me excited the other day seeing Tormentor's Helm. What was it? Red, for an artifact equipment, equipped creature gets +1/+1 and it equips for 1. Okay, that is cheap. Cheap. Whenever equipped creature becomes blocked, it deals 1 damage to defending player. Okay, so think about a red deck where it's really important to hit your opponent for damage somehow. Now, this is not combat damage, right? Yeah, it deals 1 damage to defending player. Okay, but my thinking was an infect deck. I had a Grixis infect deck back in the day, and I may rebuild it at some point because I get excited every once in a while thinking about it. And this would be great there because my infect creatures will infect my opponent if they do block and if they don't. And if they do block, then their creatures are getting infected for more. And if they don't block, their player is being infected for more. And it's real cheap. I kind of like this card. Horizon Seeker, we've been over it. Icehide Troll, we've been over it. Sculptor of Winter, we've been over it. Shackles of Treachery. So this is one where you steal a creature, untap it, give it haste, that whole shenanigan. Same thing as Act of Treason or the old card Treachery. This is slightly better than that in that until end of turn, the creature gains haste and whenever this creature deals damage, destroy target equipment attached to it. So in theory, you steal a creature with an equipment on it and it blows up its own equipment. But I already don't play Act of Treason or Threaten in my Ink Treader Nephilim deck because those cards don't do enough for the 3 mana. I don't know if this is worth playing in that, because usually when I do cast one of these, and Ink Treader makes it go around the world, it just ends the game. So I think I may still not play this. Raven Form. People have been raving about Raven Form. Because it's a blue spell that exiles an artifact or a creature. The rest of the text doesn't really matter. I mean, sure, it's a sorcery. Sure, it costs 3 mana. Sure, you can divide it up between 2 colorless on one turn and blue on another.
And you get a burn.
Sure, you give your opponent a burn in exchange for their artifact or creature. None of that matters. This is a blue spell that exiles artifacts or creatures. So every mono blue deck is going to play this forever. In Commander. And maybe that's okay. Personally, I'm okay with them like bending the color pie a little bit, as long as they give everybody a slice of that color pie bending. And I'm okay with it as long as like some colors are still better at things than other colors. They don't have to have exclusive rights. They just have to have their strengths and weaknesses. I just don't like a weakness like Kryptonite, you know, where it's like, oh, this one thing just totally invalidates your whole deal. I prefer a weakness like, you know, being weaker. Draugr's Helm, 2 mana to cast, 4 to equip. That's kind of a lot. But when it enters the battlefield, you may pay 3. If you do, create a zombie berserker and attach the helm to it. It gives the creature +2/+2 and menace. I think this is another card that might go in some kind of zombie tribal deck, but I am not building one, so pass. Lityara Glade Warden. Okay, happy baddie, we have a green shapeshifter. Let's see if it's any good. 4 mana, 3/3, changeling, so it is a cat, and a dinosaur and an elf. 3 mana and tap, exile a creature card from your graveyard. Okay, that's kind of steep. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. I'm a little underwhelmed. 4 mana is a lot. 3 mana tap, exile a creature card is a lot. And the net profit off of it is 2 +1/+1 counters at sorcery speed. I think we're already doing strong enough stuff in all of our decks that we don't need this.
Yeah.
Binding the Old Gods. Hey, it's the other green-black saga, and this one is also good. 4 mana, you destroy target non-land permanent an opponent controls. That's pretty good. Then, next turn, you search your library for a forest card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. That's pretty good. Then the next turn, creatures you control gain Death Touch until end of turn. That's pretty good. Will I play this in Elves? I'm not sure. Maybe, though. Now, this guy, Torolf, God of Fury. So this is our Thor equivalent in this set. And on the back face, he is a hammer. I actually have been brainstorming a deck with Torolf as the commander, so I'm happy to draw him, especially since he's a mythic rare. There's a pretty good chance I won't find a foil, and I won't find a showcase version, but I found a copy, and that makes me happy. He's a 4 mana 5/4 with trample, which is already, like, busted, as far as I'm concerned. But whenever, in red, he has trample. Whenever a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls is dealt excess non-combat damage, Torolf deals damage equal to the excess to any target other than that permanent. So I've been saying for a little while now that this guy possibly enables a mono-red commander burn deck. Because in the past, you wouldn't play Lightning Bolt, even though it's 1 mana, even though it's an instant, even though it can burn 3 damage to any target. Because if it's a creature or a planeswalker, no, if it's a creature and it has more than 3 toughness, it just shrugs it off. It was irrelevant, probably, unless you like combo it with other stuff. If it is 3 toughness exactly, that feels pretty good. But if it's 2 or 1 toughness, it feels like kind of a waste. And if you throw it at somebody's face, it feels like kind of a waste. And if you don't do it at instant speed, like you gotta time it just right, and then it's still maybe not that relevant in a format where you got 3 opponents and then you've got 40 life. But if you can throw excess damage at... If you can kill 3 1/1s with Lightning Bolt, or if you can kill a 2/2 and throw a damage at somebody's Planeswalker, ooh, And this also facilitates things like Blasphemous Act, just winning the game. Because you deal 13 damage to each creature. Say there are like 10 1/1s on the board. That means there's 12 damage left over for each of the 1/1s. There's 10 of them times 12. That's 120 damage you throw at any target. Divided up 10 times.
Wow.
So you probably win the game casting Blasphemous Act or Chain Reaction or... what is it? Not Into the Maw of Hell. The Falling Star or whatever. There's a handful of things to do it. So I might build a mono red burn deck as long as it's actually fun. That's my only last concern, is I'll play this exciting new deck, a kind that isn't really viable in Commander up until now. I'll be playing Torbrand, and I'll be playing damage doublers, and then it'll just wreck, and everyone will hate me.
Yeah, maybe that's more of a competitive Commander thing.
I don't know. I mean, the problem is that I don't know that it's going to be CEDH, but I also don't think that for the decks that it would be maybe kind of fair against, it would be fun. So that's my issue, is I don't think it's strong enough to be CEDH, but I don't think it is going to be fun for other people necessarily. So I'm going to build it online, and I'm going to playtest it a little bit and see what I think. Snowfield Sinkhole. The black-white one, I'm glad that they are doing all 10 of these lands in one cycle and that they're common. I may play this in a black-white deck. It struggles to get good mana. Wings of the Cosmos, 1 mana white instant. Target creature gets +1/+3, flying, and untap it. Where were you when I had a Bruce Lee Tenderfoot deck? It would have been so good back then. But that's a foil. It's kind of neat.
That Doggo's been given wings and looks a little confused.
Yeah.
The other dogs look confused too, like what's going on.
The wolf's startled yelp changed quickly to a howl of elation as she soared over her envious packmates. Until end of turn. Axgard Braggart. I think he's pretty cool for a boasting dwarf. Oh, he would be insulted if he heard me say that. Because you can untap him and give him a +1 counter. That's pretty cool. If I was playing an elf deck, or
Dwarf deck.
If I was playing a dwarf deck, I'm so sorry, I would play that card. Depart the Realm. 2 mana, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, instant with Foretell. This seems super cool and limited, and I'm never going to play it. Grim Draugr, we've been over. Snakeskin Veil, we've been over. Annul. 1 mana instant counter target artifact or enchantment spell. Not sure what that's doing in this set. Seems okay. We got a worm that I thought for a second was a dinosaur, and now I'm a little sad. It's a 6 mana, 6/6. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. Okay.
666. The number of the worm.
Yeah. And it's like eating caribou. Except we don't hardly have any caribou in this set. Oh well. Squash. I love it. I'm playing it. It's 5 mana for an instant, except it costs 3 mana less to cast if you control a giant. So, in my giant tribal deck, it's actually, what, 2 mana? And you deal 6 damage to target creature or a planeswalker. It would be nice to be able to deal it to a player, but I understand for like 20 life magic balancing, you can't really do that. So this seems really good. I'm going to play it in giant tribal.
It's a boat.
It's a boat! 3 mana, 4/4. When it attacks, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield tapped. Onto the battlefield tapped. Thank you. This is Explorer's Scope. And Crew 3, that's doable. 3 mana. This card seems alright.
Your Voyagers.
Yeah. If I'm building a vehicle deck, I think I may play this. Behold the Multiverse. 4 mana, scry 2, draw 2, instant speed. Hey, wait a second. Haven't we seen cards just like this that just didn't have scry 2 or foretell? Just a 4 mana instant that drew 2 cards and we were happy about it? This seems pretty good. Also, it looks like he's seeing other realms like... Well, that one looks like Theros, which we know that Nico is from Theros. So that's cool. Anyway, I'm not sure that it does anything for Commander, though, really. It's just a decent card draw spell. Grizzled Outrider, 5 mana, 5/5 with no abilities. Don't really care. Valkyrie Sword, 2 mana equipment. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 5. If you do, create an Angel Warrior with flying and vigilance and attaches to it. The creature gets +2/+1. So the equipment doesn't give flying, vigilance, lifelink, anything like that. Just, I mean, imagine it with just this bit of text, right? Like, it's a 2 mana to cast, 3 to equip, and gives +2/+1. That's super bad. That's bad. And then to make a 4/4 angel creature token with these abilities, that's great. Except we saw that for 4 mana on another spell that did like 2 other things. This is 5 mana plus 2 more. This card seems real bad. Real bad. Just saying. Okay. Now I like this one. 2 mana, it draws a card, and it gives +1/+1 and trample. That seems really cool. I'm not sure what I'll play this in, but that seems really cool.
Oh, green rune doing green things.
Yeah. Rune of Sustenance. 2 mana, enters the battlefield, you draw a card, gives lifelink. I mean, this is nice. Lifelink is a pretty good ability.
It's a white rune doing
white things.
Yeah.
Except, this is another weird situation where green has been like the best color in Magic for the last 2 or 3 years. And you'll note that all the other runes, all the runes cost the same. All the runes draw a card. All of them have the same effect, more or less. Except the green one also gives +1/+1. It's just randomly stronger. The white one, I mean, surely white needs more strength. It couldn't even give it an extra toughness? No? Lame. Magda! This is one of the first cards that we saw for Kaldheim, and I am very happy to have it. If I'm playing a dwarf deck, I'm playing her in it for sure. And whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped, you create a treasure token. Well, if you use a dwarf to crew a vehicle, it becomes tapped. So you create treasures for crewing vehicles. You can sacrifice 5 treasures to search your library for an artifact or dragon card and put it onto the battlefield. So you search for an artifact, you get the best vehicle in your deck. I don't know which one that is. Maybe Sky Sovereign or something. But this seems really cool if anyone ever were to build that dwarves deck. And then Highland Forest, just red-green. Okay, this is what I kind of wanted to bring up earlier. If you have 3 visits, if you have Nature's Lore, if you have anything like that, where you can search up, like those green cards that can search up a land with a basic land type. Even Into the North can get this. Farseek can get this, because it searches for a mountain. It doesn't search for a forest, but this is a mountain forest, so it gets it. I think the green ones of these are, strangely enough, the best of them. So, down to the last 2 packs. It's taken a million years to get here. Down to the Japanese packs. Let's see if there's anything unusual about them, aside from what's obvious, that they have a little pull tab, so you can open them different. Oh yeah, one unusual thing about them, they also like to put the token in the front. Oh! Immediately, this is way more waxy. Feel this card. Yeah, it's like smoother, more slippery. Okay, you will definitely be able to tell a US Kaldheim card from a Japan Kaldheim card. And we go into a snow-covered forest, which is cool. And, okay, other thing about Japanese packs. They start with the rare, pretty much. The token, land, or snow card, whatever, rare. Now, I have 2 of these, and that's cool, I guess. And then we got a showcase card.
Ooh.
It is Furia herself, Judge of Valor.
Look at all those skeletons.
Yeah, look at that art.
That's a metal album cover.
Yeah, it is. And then that crazy, like, bleeding sun in the background, kind of, and oh, smears. This is one of the most metal cards I've ever seen.
I want to listen to that album.
Yeah. And 5 mana for a legendary creature, Angel Cleric, I think just now. The art, look at the artist name. Do you see the artist name?
God Machine?
God Machine. Wow.
What's that band name?
I think they may have literally searched for metal album cover artists.
Maybe.
I think they may have.
I'm going to have to Google that.
Yeah, so 5 mana legendary creature Angel Cleric. Flying lifelink 2/4. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. So, this card lets you look at the top 3 cards and put one into your hand? That seems like a very blue ability. Granted, you put the rest in your graveyard. I guess it's then supposed to be a black ability because it puts them in your graveyard. But then it's an angel with lifelink, so it's white. I don't know. This card seems kind of confused. I'm not sure how you'd use it. It's very cool, though. We got the green rune. That's the strongest one, just to be a middle finger to the other colors. We got the white rune. That is the recipient of that middle finger. We've got Iron Verdict, which deals 5 damage to target tapped creature, but at least it's an instant speed, so that's good for limited. We got Mists of Lit Yara. What the heck? 2 mana, enchantment aura with flash, enchant creature or vehicle. It gets -3/-0. Weird. Breakneck Berserkers, sadly, is probably one of the better dwarves in dwarf history, being a 3 mana 3/2 with haste. It may not be exciting, but may be what you need. Masked Vandal. Oh, okay, is this one really good? This might be really good. 2 mana 1/3 changeling shapeshifter, so it's a cat. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard. Kind of hate that, but if you do, you exile target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. That's pretty useful. This may get played in some things.
Yeah, because, like, in my cat deck, I don't really have a way of bringing a creature back out of the graveyard when it dies.
No.
And
you got, like, 2 cards that can do it on their own, like Embalm or whatever?
Yeah, like,
That's 2.
yeah, I have Embalm and, Adorned Pouncer.
Yeah, Eternalize, I think?
Eternalize, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have that. So once my creatures are dead, they're dead. So can't really bring them back. This is a way that, if, one cat dies and another one, gets on the battlefield and picks up the equipment and fights on, I could use this and, destroy an opponent's artifact or enchantment that might be, messing with stuff.
Yeah, and 2 mana is very reasonable. So yeah, I think this is a strong consideration for cats. Coma's Faithful we've already been over. Mammoth Growth we've been over. Warhorn Blast, 5 mana. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Foretell. Raider's Carve we've been over. Haggy Mob. 5 mana for a 5/4 Troll Berserker. You can boast it for 2 mana to deal 1 damage to any target. The flavor text is inspired. Grarg. I don't know. Story Seeker. This is actually one of the better dwarves as well. 2 mana 2/2 lifelink dwarf cleric. That's all it is. But you know what? That's not bad for a dwarf. And I'm on to my last pack. This has taken a lot longer than I expected it to. I've been through way more cards in a shorter amount of time
This
before.
definitely sounds like something a bard would do, though. Like, this should be a bard if bards were a thing in Magic.
Story Seeker? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how pretty is that?
Damn.
I want a foil of this a lot. I think I could get one in a set booster. I want a foil of this a lot. Okay, so
cool.
it's gonna go to the snow land and then straight into the rare. So this is my last rare probably. Boom! It is a borderless modal double-faced land, and that's awesome. Wow. Okay. So that is the front face, the white face, and then the back face. Oh, that is beautiful.
That's pretty.
That's real pretty. Yeah. Okay.
I want to live there.
in the Mistgate pathway. And it's got like runes in the sky and they're reflected in the water.
I wonder how the Wi-Fi is.
Ooh. Pretty good given all the Bluetooth in the air.
That's the Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah. So wow. Okay. When it comes to these double face lands, my rule of thumb is I think if you're playing a 2-color deck, you play these. Probably like 100% of the time. But if you're playing a 3-color deck, I hesitate. Sorry. Because they only produce one of your two colors. And you can always play it as whichever one you need more at the moment. But if you're playing a 3-color deck, that means it'll just miss one of your colors. And it actually only gets you a third of your mana colors. So I think this is amazing in a blue-white deck. I don't have a blue-white deck. But it's still a really cool card. And if I get any of the other ones, black-white, black-red, I'm playing black-white and black-red decks, so I will happily play those. And we got another one of those cool Foretell Hasty Death Touch Angels, so that's good. Not Vold Slumber Mound. You can pay a grand total 6 mana, tap and sacrifice it, but you destroy a land, and you make a 4/4 Trampler token.
That's a very sleepy mountain.
Yeah.
Until you wake it up.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what you play... Wait a second. What do you play this in? Do you play this in Lord Windgrace?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's all the right colors. It sacrifices a land to destroy a land. You get a 4/4 Trampler out of the deal. This might be worth it.
Yeah.
Nico Defies Destiny. A card I have not seen. 3 mana. You gain 2 life for each foretold card you own in exile. Huh. Okay, that's awkward. That comes out on turn 3 typically, when your foretell costs are all 2 colorless. So on curve, this would count 1 card probably. Add 2 blue, a white and a blue. Spend this mana only to foretell cards or cast spells that have been foretold. Oh yeah, another interesting rules thing. Foretelling a card is paying 2 colorless and exiling it. Technically, you are supposed to keep the foretold cards in the same order. Mm-hmm. So your opponent has to be able to go, I want to mess with the first one you exiled, the second one you exiled, the third one. You have to keep them in order, which I hate. Mm-hmm. I don't like that at all. I wish you didn't have to do that. Also, there was one other thing about foretold cards that I'm trying to remember was important. So yeah, you can foretell it during your turn, but you can foretell it as an instant. So, meaning that you can activate the ability that exiles it initially at instant speed, but only on your own turn. So, you can do it in the middle of combat. You can do it in response to your opponent saying you have to discard your hand somehow. You could do it at the beginning of your end step, which is probably when you want to be foretelling cards, at the beginning of your end step. So, you keep your mana open, bluffing stuff during combat, whatever else, and then you do it near the end of the turn. And then you cast it later. So if someone's trying to counter some foretold spell, they can't counter it going into exile. They can counter it coming out. It also is exiled face down, so they don't get to see what it is the whole time until it comes up at the end. But, yeah, so there's some rules nuances there. Return target card with foretell from your graveyard to your hand. Cool, so you can foretell it again. History repeats itself. Okay. So this is the Wampa from Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Mm-hmm. I guess that's Luke Skywalker there. Must be. Mm-hmm. And there's his saber. This one. It's not lit, I guess. 4 mana, 3/3 snow creature Yeti. Yeti was already a creature type in Magic, but there's only 4 of them, and none of them are good. And 2 mana, Frost Peak Yeti can't be blocked this turn. Seems annoying in limited and not good in any other format. Sculptor of Winter's cool. Disdainful Stroke's alright. Icehide Troll's alright. Undersea Invaders, a little slow, despite being so fast. Draugr Recruiter, 4 mana, 3/3 zombie cleric with boast. Return to a creature card from your graveyard to your hand for 4 mana. Broken Wings. I've been hearing a lot of people actually like this card. This seems like a, budget removal spell for Commander again, in that it's so versatile. It destroys an artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. But 3 mana is about the most you'd want to spend on something like that. But it does have the flexibility of being an instant. Mm-hmm. So this is another one I think like Disdainful Stroke, where if you buy a bunch of packs and are wanting to build a Commander deck, Maybe you buy the elf precon and you want to soup it up a bit. This goes in there, and I think you're going to have a good time. Even if there's like technically more optimal things, this is good enough. Smashing Success. 4 mana instant. Destroy target artifact or land. When was the last time they printed a spell for 4 mana or less, at common no less, that destroyed a land? And this one does it at instant speed. If an artifact is destroyed this way, create a treasure. Oh. So, okay, because Shatter would be 2 mana instant destroy an artifact, and that's not even good enough anymore. So this one, if you shatter with it, you get a treasure. I don't know how you blow up a mountain and don't get any treasure out of it, but you smash someone's like goblet and you do. But still, I think it's neat that they even did it. Goldmaw Champion, we've been over. Fearless Pup. Oh, what a pupper!
It is a good pupper.
Yeah.
It's so fearless.
Oh, woo. 1 red for a 1/1 creature wolf with first strike. How does this wolf have first strike?
It's fearless.
How does I guess it is. It just goes for you.
It is small. It is fearless. It's gonna go after you.
Boast is a whole 3 mana to give it +2/+0. That's a little overcosted. But on a first strike creature you got on turn 1, seems good in limited. All right. So that was my whole haul. I got a double-faced land that is pretty cool. I got 2 copies of Furia's Retribution, with one of them being the pre-release foil. Magda's a good rare. Torolf's a great mythic. Sigrid is a showcase rare that's pretty cool. Probably not worth anything, but whatever. Blessing of Frost is cool. Got a couple of snow-covered basics, including a swamp and a forest. Return Upon the Tide and some other elf cards I will play. Herald, Cyclone, Summoner. Off to a good start. And I'm about to call it here. Thank you for joining me. I'll be posting more videos as more stuff comes out. Thank you. Bye-bye.